coffee and the dog's out and all that kind of thing. Thank you guys for stopping by. And let's go ahead and do this thing. So for those that didn't see the first episode, basically to explain this a little bit, Level 0 is a mod cooked up here by Chaotic Brave Alistair, who's here in the comments. Basically, this is a mod that prevents level up by any means outside of somebody's starting level. So this basically means that they cannot get skills, they cannot level up current skills, and additionally, they are just locked at their level. So for example, Zero, our leader over here, has never gotten experience. The only skills that he has are the weapon skills that he's got on hand here for the very, very tiny defensive and offensive bonus that it'll give him. And additionally, he won't be able to get any weapon skills ever over the course of this entire run. They're always going to be at 1. But basically what this run consists of is entirely just never bothering to use stats to actually fight anything. But you may notice over here that certain units, whenever they're hired through the story, will actually come in with certain levels. So for example, we actually do still have access to recruit this time around, just on account of the first 3 recruits that we get here, starting off at 5. They'll never be able to go above 5, but, that's kind of where they are right now. But this is how we're going to get access to certain skills. We're never going to have enough stats, at least for a very, very long time, for anything to reasonably fight anything. Also, I apologize if you suddenly hear a banging in the background. I just washed off one of the dogs, and she is suddenly itching herself and kicking the kennel. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't know how you pronounce that, but tea over coffee? That depends on the day. I'm not going to disagree. There's days that I just prefer to sit down with some chamomile. I can't lie. I can lie plenty, but I can't lie about that. See, it depends on the coffee or longest time on the tea, guys. See, for me, it depends on the day. Some days, I just feel like tea definitely has more caffeine in it. Some days, you just need that caffeine to function. Most days, I prefer coffee because it's, right there. It's easy to make. It's very consistent. With tea, sometimes it can be a little inconsistent, and if you have coffee or a tea that's too strong and you want a second cup of it, you might make yourself nauseous. So, either way, it depends on what you're feeling that day. But yeah, like black English tea, especially if you get the cheap dollar store kind, oh man, that is gonna ruin your stomach, something fierce. Alright, so, I think, just kind of for the hell of it, we're actually gonna attempt to take on Nebith here. I just want to see how this ends up playing out right now. I'm not 100% certain if we want to do this just yet, but I do want to get a hold of the zombies there. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, this is something that I haven't tested directly up to this point, but if we get any recruits, they should automatically be leveled down to our union level, which in this case would mean that they would bottom out at 1. So either way, that's my understanding of this, so we should be able to, at the very least, get a zombie or 2 here. So that would be the goal of going in to take on this dude over here. So we're going to give this a bit of a shot here, see if we need to reassemble the team in any way, but first things first, let's go ahead and buy some buffs, debuffs, all of that kind of thing. Right now we're close enough that it shouldn't matter too much what we're running into. Let's see, for one thing, we're going to want some crystallized flames. We're going to probably like 8 of them. Jewels of the Avatar, definitely need like 20 of them immediately. It's going to be our bread and butter for a lot of things. At least 4 basins a time. I'm going to spend a lot of money on this kind of stuff later. Black Lizard Powder is going to be a must for several units. Anything else we might need here? I don't think so. See, the cool thing, and part of the reason that I love the way that this run is set up, is because it's a total inverse of the way that the PSP version happened. Because in PSP, it basically meant that we had no access to a lot of spells outside of scrolls, and we had no access to skills outside of scavenging. So like we still could get them. It was just a weird time to get them. We still had ways to increase units' base stats, but also at the same time you only needed like 100 to max somebody out, and at that point they just became super overpowered, but we still had access to weapon ranks. This time around we have access to any and all gear that we find, and any and all spells that we find, but we don't have access or nearly as much effectiveness out of raising those base stats, and additionally don't have access to ranked stats, meaning that whatever we find is already immediately as good as it's going to be. But anyway, let's see. The total sentence imposed is 10. What? What is total sentence? Sentence for what? Oh, it's pronounced Alexander? Okay, well, I'll remember it's Alexander for the future then. Let's see, I'm a monster enjoyer because my brain likes to think I'm a teenager. Alright, fair enough, fair enough. I mean, back when I used to drive cross-country a whole lot, I would usually drink a hell of a lot of amps to the point that I mentally kept thinking, like, as soon as I played Dark Souls, the first thing that I kept picturing every time I was chugging an amp was the friggin' Estus flask. So in that forest with the different level platforms where there's more enemies at each battles. Are you talking about the Wildwood? Let's see what you did there. Not sure what you did there. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue on. So, we have probably what we need. Let's go ahead and do Cadriga real quick. So, let's go ahead and break this down and see what we want to do exactly. So, damage-wise, for those unfamiliar, we pretty much have a damage source, well, multiple different damage sources that are going to be consistent throughout the entire game. Namely, almost nothing is completely immune to poison, and additionally, nothing is immune to gravity, nothing is immune to knockback damage. So we still have access to those, but we can't necessarily get in close to make use of those very effectively in most situations. We will have access to an Exorcist here, but our main goal of taking on this guy in particular is going to be these two right here. This is going to be our first early game zombies. If we can get them, great. If it's not actually doable, then we can get some later. But mostly I want to find out if they will actually level down to 0, or if they will stay at 1, or if they'll stay at their current thing. I believe they will just level down to 1. I'm not 100% certain, but we'll find out. Alright. So he interrupted my Chaos Run because a certain Octopath 2 knocked on my door. The game was good. It seemed pretty darn good. I know, I still haven't done more videos on it. I really should at some point. I was like, oh, hey, look, Octopath 2. And anyway, I guess I'm just going to do more Tactics Ogre. I'm sorry, it's just how the way it goes. Alright, so let's see. We've got our Exorcism. That's going to be fine on our Cleric. They're going to go over here. What kind of items do we got for you? Probably a Jewel might be handy to keep him safe later, in case we start getting sniped. Crystallized Flame. I should have brought something along to be able to allow Mr. Dude Guy over here to potentially assist, but I don't think we're going to have that. Going to get rid of Warrior Lady to have another Knight. I believe they're both running Phalanx and Recruit, so that should be pretty good. If we can get those two a couple of auto cards and they're just running Phalanx the entire time, we probably should be golden. They should just be able to outlast things here pretty well. So there we go. They both got their heals already. You don't have a ring. We should solve that. Because for all intents and purposes, these guys are just fine. Let's see. We do need our 3 damage sources over here. Only put them back a little bit. Canopus is good enough off of his additional stats that he could be a reasonable threat to casters, and then Denim I'm probably going to switch over to a Cleric at some point, because there's really not a whole lot of reason for him to be doing the things that he's doing. But either way, he's just going to try to participate for the time being. Let's see if we have any additional stuff for him. Probably not. This is pretty early. Alright, let's give this a bit of a shot. See how we do. Let's see, yep, Wildwoods, it's the last platform. There's so much enemies, lose all my units. Do you have any tips for the fight? I mean, basically, you just hold off in lines, more or less. Let's go ahead and tell this guy he should surrender. When it comes to the Wildwood, mostly it's an area that you're going in to test different teams and whatnot, so... you're testing different teams, you're recruiting different unit types in there, and then you're also getting a hold of a lot of the crafting materials they'll be using later. Depends on kind of where you're at in the story as far as advice for that place would go. So, like, if you're just going there when it first unlocked, I mean, really just take it slow is the best way to do it. In many cases, you can literally just sit at where you started, let them come to you, and should have a pretty easy time. If you're not running in elemental bars, you should be running elemental bars. That should pretty much be a given at this point. The elemental bonuses are kind of a huge deal in that situation. Let's see here. Without anything, yeah, their odds are pretty low here. But either way, these guys are only at 6. She's at 3. The levels aren't necessarily going to matter as soon as they're concentrate rolls anyway. Alright, let's see. Cheese that one with the dragons. They have a secret skill called I Don't Die. That's when you just poison stuff. As far as the dragon skill, literally all you gotta do is poison them. Anything with a higher health bar, you just poison. 10% is 10%. Realistically, you can run around poisoning everything, and by the time you're done poisoning everything, you circle around, the first thing's basically dead. Just kind of create your own openings and whatnot. Anyway, so current plan is we're going to move our knights up to the front. They're going to strictly attempt to recruit these 2 zombies. Once we get the 2 zombies on our team... Actually, I should have taken Exorcism off of Casual. We may have to preemptively delete her, actually. Anyway. Right, your concentration hasn't rolled yet. You just wait. See that block, though? Yep. We should be able to have everybody consistently blocking over the course of this run. The reason that I picked up so many Jules the Avatar is just because over the course of this whole thing we're going to be abusing the ever-loving hell out of that. Like, that 20% block is absolutely going to be a lifeline in a lot of situations, and that's part of the reason that I'm picking up these zombies here. Is because we can just basically stick them to the front, completely stacked with those 20% dodge odds, and then literally all we have to do is just sit there letting them tank hits, you know, that much more effectively. See, it would be fun if there's a mod that gave you negative experience making all characters level down. Apparently that's technically possible, it's just not exactly easy to pull off. It sounded like the mod would have been a lot more work, and basically would have just involved this same thing, just slower. So either way. But Canopus is gonna do more than enough for this beginning section here. You guys prefer a TTOR or a triangle? Not even close in terms of preferring Tactics Ogre all day, every day. I am still sitting on a 2-hour-long video of just kind of tearing into the overall writing of Triangle. Still looking at it like every now and then, like, are people gonna be pissed if I post that? Because it's true. No, we're not going down that particular rabbit hole right now. Sorry, it's just there's a lot of bits and pieces of Triangle that always hit me in that spot of like, man, this, like, it's like, why couldn't you change this one thing over here? Like, you just change this thing, change this thing, change this thing. This is exactly what I would have wanted. Why couldn't you change this one little thing over here to be less ridiculous, you know? Like, every dang time. Anyway. But yeah. Tactics Ogre, no questions asked in my book. Like, not even remotely close. Alright. Anyway. I mean, mostly it's a frustration thing. Because, like, imagine a situation where you're going to have a critical plot point of your entire game be a siege of a city, and you can't even bother putting anything in the gigantic open field outside. Anyway. Sweet code and tactics. Oh no, I thought... Man, I thought we were just going to talk about chess. Any chess enjoyers here? Like, man, the critical plot point when that bishop just, like, went to the side a little bit. Like, Jesus, dude. You don't get emotion like that every day. Alright. Although, how is that? I actually haven't... I thought the whole Suikoden tactics thing, I thought that was... somebody was joking about that. Does that actually exist now? Or did I just miss it this whole time? Because I know every time that they tried to put those tactics bits into any one of their games, it was a little bit, kind of cool, but we're going to pretend it's going to work, basically. It's kind of how it felt. Actually, now that I think about it, the way that Suikoden 2 implemented the whole tactics mechanic feels like how Triangle implemented every mechanic in its game. Okay, not going down that whole thing. Not going down that whole thing. Let's see, Devil Survivor is the correct choice. I don't see why not. I don't understand what's going on in those games most of the time, but they look really darn fun. And, well, they are really dang fun. Let's see, new FFTT. Why is everybody adding new letters to stuff today? Let's see, personally was on tear the last few days, completing AC6, NG+, and NG++. Dude, same here. One of the videos that should be coming out tomorrow, I believe, was specifically about just thoughts upon completing the entire thing, because, well, I kind of accidentally completed the entire thing after originally planning to do a whole blind run type situation. Anyway. Anyway, let's see if we can go ahead and get this one recruited. Her loyalty appears to be pretty good, unfortunately. So that's going to take a little bit of effort here. Oh well, we can still make this work. You're just going to go over here and do a little bit of area control. See if we can get these guys taken care of a little bit. I need to get my Exorcist up in order to take care of that unit up there. Additionally, I need to see about getting this one charmed so that... Oh, she's got I shouldn't have even tried that. Although, to be fair, the nice thing about exclusively attacking with debuffs over the course of this run is that we don't have to worry about MP basically ever. So, it's like, oh, meditate rolled once? Okay, we're good for MP for the entire fight. Anyway, I just want to make sure that she doesn't get taken out and then, like, Kashua ends up deleting her or something. I'd like to try and get his reinforcements taken out so that we can maybe do something along the lines of wearing them down a little bit. Alright. Let's see, such a fun thing. Yeah, dude, AC6 frickin' is just, like, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Let's go ahead and charm her for the time being. If we can, we're going to at least attempt to do that. You need to go up here, take one risky turn, and actually you won't be taking that risky turn. You're going to be putting up a Jewel of the Avatar right here, and then you're going to be standing right over in this direction, and then you're going to get rid of that ghost later. Also, we need to get rid of that skeleton, because, oh my goodness, that is some meaty damage coming out of that dude. Alright. But anyways, no, as far as AC6, like, I love how it's basically exactly what it needed to be, you know? Like, exactly what it needed to be. Like, it's just enough of the coolest parts of every part of the series. Like, just exactly enough of all of it to be enough to get the older fans on board. They've got just enough elements from some newer stuff to get all the newer fans on board. Like, it's such a self-aware, amazing thing, especially by the time you get to Ending 3. Then it gets even more self-aware. Man. Like... Oh, shoot, I forgot to bring Blessing Stones, didn't I? Well, okay, that might be... We'll see if that's a reset. If we get a zombie or two, actually, I'd be okay with just one. If we get one of them, we can actually just go ahead and have Canopus wrap this whole thing up. Because he's basically off on standby in the background to go and snipe Mr. Wizardman. So that we can go ahead and carry on with our day. Do some pretty piss poor damage against this guy, but whatever, it's acceptable for now. 0% chance to recruit, unfortunately. That guy's gonna be on his way back. I need Skelly Guy to be dying though. Yeah, 0% odds. It's a bit of a bummer. Cecily, or Cecily, I don't know, whatever your face is, you need to be doing that thing where you maybe, I don't know, do stuff. This run's also going to change quite a bit once we get access to stabs. Like, I expect to be running into a few issues with many of these units right now. Like, this right here is the tester attempt. I did forget to put on Blessing Stones, so that was my bad. We do want at least a couple of those on hand, so that, like, for example, I could have gone and gotten that ghost taken out. They're going to have a chance to come back here instead. So it's probably going to... Whether or not this is a reset right now is going to come down to whether or not this... this one over here wants to go ahead and join us. 15% ain't bad by any means, so whatever. If they decide to, they decide to. As it stands, though, it's looking like it's possibly going to be a reset there. Also, hi there, Hutch. How's it going? Been a bit of a hot minute. Let's see. Next on the list is Elden Ring, RE4 Remake, and Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, the last year especially, but the last, 2 years here have been just such a great time for for new games and sequels and remakes and everything. Like, you know, complaints here or there notwithstanding, it's just been awesome to see so many good things come out. Alright, let's see. How are your numbers looking against this guy? Non-existent. Fantastic. That's exactly what you want to see. I need a breach. That's actually why he's carrying this. Okay, you're going to go ahead and breach this guy in order to set up. Again, this is kind of preparing for a situation that's extremely unlikely to happen right now. Wherein if I send one of the casters, maybe Nebith will decide to go target them instead. Or if we decide to... actually, do we want to do that? No. Basically, if the zombie joins, then we're good to go. Then I can just go ahead and have Canopus take the shot. And if... what else? If we send some of our casters forward and Nebith decides to take the shot there instead, then we potentially can have Canopus actually open to take said shot. So there's that. Anyway, let's see. Who's got a turn coming up here? You don't. Let's see. You've got your turn coming up first. So she's going to put herself up as bait. Attempt to go for the charm there. Apparently gets herself taken out. Yeah, this one's going to be a reset. Alright. See, I had a funny conversation with my friend about this game. They asked me if it was worth it to 100% because I 100%ed it despite not being an achievement hunter. I said no, because it's a game you can't brute force, which is how they play these games. Yeah, pretty much. Like, It's one of those ones that the more you try to force that 100%, the longer it takes. But the more you just kind of continue on and kind of enjoy your time, the more you'll start to enjoy it. It's a weird one in that regard. All right. Let me guess. Now is when she's finally going to join with that 22%. And no. All right. Well. Anyway. That's fine. This, just so you know, for anyone that's just showing up, the reason that we're in this current chain of events is because I did a stupid and forgot to put a blessing stone in order to revive the cleric in order to go get the ghost deleted, which would then have potentially caused Nibith to go backwards and waste his turn on doing more kind of pulling in more skeletons kind of stuff. And in turn, this ended up resulting in, well, what you're seeing in front of you right now. So we, functionally speaking, want to delay that guy as much as possible. Basically, Canopus breaches him, he attempts to collect some Fizz cards, and then he attempts to shoot him. That's pretty much same way as it's done in the speedrun there. But yeah. Is what it is. Let's see, do you recommend playing this modded with level cap removed? No. No, the level cap is a really solid improvement to this game, if you ask me. Many folks like to complain about that whole thing and try to, again, brute force it and stuff like that. You are missing out on a huge part of the experience by trying to go and just grind your way through it. It's gonna suck. Like, and by the way, Alistair, I know you made the mod. I'm not saying this as a, like, hey guys, don't use the mod thing. I just mean, like, the way that this thing is put together, it has so many, like, really, really solid strategic moments, like, from pacing to everything else. It's just entirely built with this idea of using those particular mechanics. All of the levels, they'll never throw you into a situation that you can't handle. Like right now, even with the level cap permanently set to 0 here, so that no one can get experience, there's still ways to get through the entire thing. And like again, for me, this is just I wanted to see if it could be done whatsoever. So that's again intentionally my intent behind this whole thing. But if you're looking to just play it for the first time, just accept that they never will put you into an unwinnable situation, because there's always more. There's always some other reason behind what's happening in that particular situation. Like, let's say if you have a boss that's one-shotting you, I can almost guarantee it's because of a level advantage or a debuff of some kind. So, like, for example, if this guy's hit by a neutral finisher coming from a Earth Element boss, that will potentially have a hell of a lot damage against him because he is lightning. He is weak to that particular thing. Or if he's breached, because element bonuses are a 30% bonus, breach is a 50% bonus, and on top of that, their own personal defenses have a sort of defensive threshold type situation going on. But there's a lot of things at play in terms of whether or not something's possible, and it's pretty much never going to directly be the levels themselves. Also, I love how I just restarted the exact same thing without correcting the mistake that just got us there in the first place. All right, anyway. Let's see. All right. See, so no, because it's a game you can't brute force. Oh, wait, you already said that. Brute force, I meant from them to start is more numbers equals better, which is just not how this game works. Yeah, this game, and frankly, a lot of the games that you'll find are really enjoyed on this channel, are going to be about creating openings and exploiting them. So, like, for example, right here, you may notice I have Canopus over here carrying this bottle, because if he were to just go attack Nibith over here normally, he would basically do nothing against this guy. But if he were to go apply that bottle to go break his defenses, if he were to pick up some physical up cards to multiply those attacks that he was doing, he then potentially could, like, 2 or 3 shot this guy. But again, a lot of it is just creating openings and exploiting those openings, and that's kind of the fun strategic aspect to this whole thing, you know? Would you like to save your progress? No, because I believe it auto-saved right before coming in here, so we'll just go ahead and do that. But anyways, if you remove all of the level cap and whatever else, like, you just won't have that experience. You'll just go for levels, and that's it. There's no attempt to actually apply the strategy in question there, when, you know, there's no reason to do so. Also, that save is before I bought those items, so let's go ahead and buy those real quick lag here. I'm gonna need a few of these. Let's go ahead and buy a few of these, and a couple of these, and need a Echo Stone here as well. Okay, now we do the setup a little bit better. First off, you are fine with your healing, you're fine with your breaching. You are going to want a basin, you're going to want a Echo Stone. Resilience, should I bother with resilience on him? I mean, he actually doesn't get hit by the physicals anyway, so we should probably just go to the shop, buy a resilience, and there we go. So, who ended up getting sniped? He ended up getting sniped, so he can have a early turn set up to give him that resilience. These two were doing fine, but she needs to have her heal on hand. You need to have a ring. How do I not have one on you? Let's go ahead and buy you a defender ring real quick, because defender rings are just going to help us out more in the long run. Anyway, I don't know why I went back to the shop there. Anyway, let's get you your ring real quick, like sir. There we go. Let's see. I don't feel like they were necessarily lacking for anything specifically. Probably just give them one blessing stone each, just because they're the most likely to be surviving in this whole scenario. We won't be running into too many fights where we're directly going to be having issues with, you know, fighting stuff head on. So this is going to be kind of a weirder one. I probably should get these guys their powder just so they're not necessarily relying on their concentration rolling. Let's go ahead and pop that in there. You go ahead and get your sleep. The other ones should be fine as they are. Probably a... Actually, no, you probably want to fortify. Actually, go ahead and have the men leave too. You go ahead and fortify. You go ahead and fortify. Let's see, you're not going to be in the fight. You might as well equip a couple of men leaves because we'll have more of these as time goes on. And yeah, just in general, he can kind of keep himself running a little bit. You get this, you get this, and you get this. And then that should be good, I think. Let's go ahead and save it real quick. Sure. Alright. Alright, so replace this, replace this, and move you over here. We're going to want him to have better weapon upgrades as we go along. Like, especially once we get to, like, heavy axes and stuff like that, that's what he's going to be running later. We're going to stick with Vartan on Canopus for the time being, because it's just a really solid class. Here, let's actually take you, and let's put this on you. As far as the Vartan goes, it's got the best movement that we're going to have available at this point in the game, which gives him good access to a lot of cards, and just in general, it's pretty darn solid. Alright, let's see. I have a question for you. For the shamans, does it instill, I'm assuming you mean, insert element? Like, let's say you instill Earth for Sherry, does that increase her magic attack? Not quite. So, basically, the way that instill works is it's... Think of it more like a physical coding of that particular element. So if you, like, let's say, like, Canopus is air over there, and he has his Alcolas thing, right? Which comes with the instill buff. Actually, it only comes with half the instill buff. That's a terrible example. Okay, whatever. Let's just say they're using instill. They are an air element, and they go and they use instill. This will mean that they have somewhere in the ballpark of like 22 to 24-ish, whatever percent second damage bonus tick that happens when they attack, because the element matches their own personal element. If the element is also something that the opponent is weak to, that bonus goes up to 31%. But again, this is only for physical attacks. When they're going and they're just like bonking somebody with a sword or something. This is why it's really good in an offensive sense on rune fencers and whatnot, because let's say they've got a spear and they're like, okay, I need to go and, you know, hit this guy, you know, for a bigger elemental smack real quick, and it'll give him that extra 31% damage there. But it's a second tick. It doesn't scale. It basically just will be whatever normal attack you would have done, but it's 31% of that as a secondary attack. It seems like a weird thing to put out specifically as, you know, as another detail, but it's basically saying that it gave you a 31% bonus would apply something far grander than just applying as a second tick. For shamans, you would pretty much only use it for defensive purposes. So, like, in the case of shamans, you would want to use the element that they are weak to. So, for example, say this water unit over here used a instill lightning. It would cover them against their lightning weakness a little bit. I think it's like 15% damage reduction from lightning attacks, something along those lines. You'd have to go check with Recession on numbers. He's the numbers guy. Just expect a lot of words to fly your way. But either way, it's somewhere in that ballpark. So basically, if you want to be more defensive about it, use the elements that you're weak to. If you want to be physically more offensive with it, go ahead and use the same element as the unit itself. For everybody else, it's like a 20% just flat damage bonus, regardless of anything. And in terms of magic attacks, it doesn't really do anything for them. So hopefully that helps. Here, go ahead and go for the paralysis, please. There we go, nice and stunned. All right. See, this fight is the how well do you understand the game fight? Yep. Right now, this is currently the how much do we want to recruit this this zombie fight? Also, I forgot to give him his heal. I'm an idiot today. Good lord. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and put on a crystallized flame. Hopefully, whenever he does get sniped, he lives it. All right, we should probably get some fortifies going on some of these units. Probably on Kashua. She is a little bit of a threat right now, just in case she decides to go for that exorcism. Hopefully we can keep that from happening for the time being. Any darn ways. Let's see. Do we want more sleep? Do we want more anything? I think she just wants to powder up. Really, the idea right now is to get these 3 casters up front, attempt to drop some poisons, see if we can melt down their health a little bit. And then hopefully after all of that, we can have the knights recruit the 2 warrior units. Then we slowly back off and exercise everything else. We attempt to survive the attacks. It's pretty much just Nibith that's capable of absolutely insane numbers, so we shouldn't be too threatened by that, but we'll play that by ear. As it stands, we should be alright. Let's go ahead and throw out a short bow here so that we can maybe deal with this. Okay, I don't think we'll be able to 2-shot that ghost as of yet, so he's just going to resilience for now. Anyway. Alright, see, does the attune skill for shamans increase the magic attack then? No. Nature's power gives them a pretty noticeable bonus to their spell attacks if they are an elemental attack, which is basically all the shamans can do. But for anything else, not so much. Or as far as anything else boosting it, not really. It's basically spellcraft and a one-handed relic staff, and what is it? I'm forgetting something right now. Prevailing element, as well as just matching the particular thing that'll make a difference there. Also, this lady is very, very loyal today, apparently. That's a bit of a bummer. Don't like that high loyalty around here. Looking for people that absolutely hate their management. Let's see. Pretty much have to deal with every disadvantage in the game. Yep. But that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it a good little bonus for the start. Alright, got a chance for a double poison here. Might as well. Perfect, perfect. Couldn't ask for that to go any better. In fact, actually, we'll go ahead and recruit, or not recruit, but retreat them a little bit. That's going to melt away some of their health a little bit. If we can get the two units up there recruited, it'll make a really, really big deal over the course of the run. But again, for the time being, we're just playing it by ear. For most of this run, by the way, Denim is just going to be casting heal. He's going to be near worthless for almost all of it. Like, literally, he's just going to be running around using a regular heal 1. Just because there really isn't much else in him for the moment. Let's see, your turn's coming up. Wouldn't say no to you getting charmed here. Worth a shot. Alright, so you retreat. You also attempt to go for the charm. That would have been good. Oh well. Right now I'm pulling back to where the cleric is in an attempt to maybe get a hold of, or maybe force them to go backwards. Because if they go backwards, that gives us the opportunity to recruit them. And there we go. That worked out pretty darn nicely. Couldn't have planned that better. Actually, the only thing that we're currently messed up with on this party is the fact that my main healing guy doesn't have heal. So that's a useful tool, it turns out. Anyway, we're up to 13% on this one. Please just join. Thank you kindly. Alright, that's one objective out of the way. Next up, we need to get this one done. So now the knights are going to start marching their way up forward. I'm assuming his loyalty is still going to be pretty insane. Let's see. Supports you in all things. A loyal ally to the end and beyond, apparently. Because dude's dead, and he's still following his boss. But alrighty. Though actually, that is a funny lore note. That whole thing that they hear him spout on about how all of the dead only want to accomplish one thing, and he's helping them do it. If I recall correctly, most of his units, like most of his human units, will actually like him, whereas more of the more mutilated ones won't. Kind of weirdly specific, but you know. Anyway, let's go ahead and get Canopus patched up here a little bit. We might be able to deal with these two skellies that are closer by. We gotta deal with that ghost as soon as possible. Canopus is the main key for that. Alright. Whatever, we're gonna help him out however we can. Let's see, we need Fortify on our Cleric, because she's going to be marching forward in a second here. So we're going to have you deliver one of these. Actually, as soon as we get, I think as soon as we get access to a Lobber, I might have him switch over to being an item Lobber instead. Like, we'll see. Again, a lot of this stuff is going to be played by ear. Just kind of see how we do. Are you going to use Chariot? Hell no. Have you seen this channel? If there was an option to buy a DLC to delete Chariot, I would have it. I probably should have put that in the rules. Like, it's one of those things that I have such an absolute disdain for in terms of mechanics that I kind of often forget that it exists. Alright. We'll put some of these guys to sleep. As soon as we put them to sleep, that'll give us more of a chance to go forward and do things. Go forward, do stuff. Things will occur. I love how Sleep and Paralytic Wave have slightly longer ranges than the other ones, in order to make up for the lack of range that a Terror Knight has. It's just one of those nice little things, you know. Alright, Canopus should be able to live this going on forward. You should be able to help us deal with this Skelly over here. What about the green cards? If we get them, sure. I mean, the thing is, I don't really mind the cards as much in this one. See, because back in PSP, you only needed 100 of them, and that unit was basically a god. Even though obviously 100 takes a long freaking time to accomplish, it was a case where if you were just sitting down and, like, let's say, like I was doing that run, like normally I would just be there on the Vita, you know, the wife and I would just be sitting and watching something at the end of the day. I would just be going through and collecting some cards for that particular run. You know, all well and good, nothing too terribly fancy, but it was very easy to casually go through the through the whole thing that way. Whereas this time around, I believe the cap is 900, so it's not that it has no limit. The limit is just really high, and realistically speaking, it would take a absolute shitload of them to get any more meaningful. So it would take a lot less time to just do it by the plan that I'm planning to, rather than actually using them. So they're not going to be the primary plan because, frankly, it would be impractical. There is a far better plan that we'll be doing. You know, it's just going to take a bit of a second to get to it. They weren't PSP cards like 0.3 to 0.5 per stat. Yeah, they were, but again, they still you still got them pretty darn regularly. You could mass farm them very quickly, and just in general, it was something that you could get away with relatively fast. All right, let's move you in this direction. I want that ghost, actually. Because honestly, with even one, like, considering that we have at least one on our side, I'm happy with that. So at this point, we might as well start focusing on Operation Beat Shit out of Nibith. So I think that's just going to be our next goal here. If we can just charm that ghost, he might be able to go and provide a little bit of additional artillery for us here. See, I knew the hard base stat cap was 100 in PSP. Yes, it was. Yes, it absolutely was. But you could get up there with relatively little effort was the thing. Like, it takes a much, much, much longer time to use that particular method to get stuff up in this one. Like, there's a reason that when it comes to base stat farming, almost nobody uses the card method, but when they get into Coda and stuff like that, many will immediately start farming charms and things. Because, like, charms, you can guarantee you can get them done very quickly. And, you know, it's not really too much of a fuss to get that all done. Meanwhile, back in PSP, like cards were kind of the primary method, but you could also mass farm them because you would just go into Tynemouth. The units would have basically no skills or threat whatsoever to speak of, but you would then go into the high-level version by taking one of your basic classes. So like, let's say you take one of them, you take them anywhere above level 30, which again, pretty easy to accomplish. You get them above 30, you take them forward a little bit, and then at that point, a lot of the equipment that enemies are coming with is going to be far less common, so it's going to start mass dropping cards for you in order to make sure that, you know, you're not getting that super overpowered equipment all the time. And so, yeah, you would just immediately get card after card after card after card, like it's absolutely nothing. Alright, are we going to get Meteor Struck here? What are we doing, Nibby? He's just going to sit there. Fantastic. I am 100% on board with this plan, sir. Let's see, now we have the Charms, which is pretty OP. I mean, it depends. Like, you'd still need an absolute ton of Charms to get by with, like, with just stats alone. I mean, going and making use of bonuses, making use of debuffs and stuff like that is always going to take you a lot farther, a lot faster. But yeah, the Charms are definitely a way faster way to do it. But we don't have access to necessarily farming any of them for quite a while. We only have the Elemental Charms. So there's that. So it's been a while since I played Reborn, so what use is the Union level? So the Union level is your party class cap, or party level cap. So essentially we are level capped at 0, which means that no unit can gain experience whatsoever. This is functionally a no experience run, which is probably what I should have called it to begin with. I believe that's what Alistair was saying that I should probably call it, and it would have made a lot more sense. But hey, you know what? Making sense isn't really what we do around here. So yeah, basically it just means that, like these guys, these were our level 3 aces we got at the very start. They will permanently be level 3 forever. If we recruit a new unit, they presumably become level 1. That's actually what we're testing out right now. Let's see, is this unit's turn coming up? No, your turn's coming up. So, here, let's see. Not going to be able to make any use of that. Right, who's first? You're going to be first. There we go. So we're basically making use of a bunch of mechanics that you don't necessarily see kind of considered OP as they should be. So like the 30% minimum hit odds, or automatic skill odds, or things like that. Just basically anytime that there's a forced check of any variety, that's what we're going to be abusing. Level 0 has a decent ring to it. Yeah, I mean that's what I thought too. It's nice. It feels cool. All right. Where's that other Skelly? Be like way over here, right? He says he's a bird. He's lying, but we can't really get to him, so let's see. Can't quite finish this guy off, so just put him to sleep for the time being. Hopefully the other guy will be able to deal with him in due time. Canopus will continue collecting cards as he does. Actually, you got a shot on this guy from here? Almost. Got a shot on this guy. I mean, Exorcist already has a job to do. Although, okay, so, weird thing in this move. This could potentially be the winner or the loser of this particular fight. Because if we take this guy out right now, we don't necessarily have exorcisms to go in 2 directions to deal with 2 things, and also still need the healing. So if the Knights can't rededicate themselves to healing full time, then that gives us a problem. At the same time, our Valak is about to come back, meaning that they're going to be able to make more of a push. And at the same time, I want to collect that other Fizz Up card in order to see about Canopus one-shotting Nibby down the road. Because potentially 1 crit, 1 physical, plus a breach would be enough for a one-shot. So, but then also I know that this guy is almost certainly going to attempt to take out this guy. Which, I mean, if he does, great, but he also is wasting potential that could be spent in this direction. But if he gets out of his charm at that point, then potentially this guy's just left unchecked. So we're just going to go ahead and take the shot right now and hope that this works out. See, zombies don't gain experience to begin with? Correct. You can only use experience charms on them, which we wouldn't be able to use this run anyway. Alright, right. And by the way, one other funny wrinkle on this whole run. Clerics, at least the cleric that we started with, doesn't get meditate. I don't know why either. It's just the weirdest thing. For some reason, clerics just don't start with meditate. Alright. I do want to get this guy back up on his feet so that... Oh, right, he already spent his thing. Alright. we are going to start setting up a backup plan in terms of sending you on forward. You're going to go ahead and whack this ghost, and you're going to start moving yourself forward because I need to start putting pressure on Nibby, just so we're not running out of time here. Alright. This might potentially lose us that second zombie recruit, but 1 is all we really need. We actually don't need any of these zombies to get through Chapter 1. I just want to see exactly what they do at this point. So I want to see how zombies are going to be treated by the mod. I want to see what we can get away with in terms of zombie cheese. Realistically speaking, we can get as many zombies as we want at the start of Chapter 2. So we'll deal with that at that point. You go ahead and attempt to go for a charm here. Good. We should probably attempt to re-up that charm in the other direction in a moment here. Yeah, that's... Again, I wasn't sure how much time he had on his charm. That's why I was expecting something to happen there. Alright. In that case, you want to just take a nap then? Just gonna stay out of our way for a little bit? No? Alright. We're gonna pick up this, just for safety's sake. Denim hasn't taken a turn yet. I'm thinking we should be okay timing-wise. I think we're giving up on second zombie and just charging the knights forward. They're gonna have next to no aggro on them right now. That's kind of one of the cool things about this whole deal right now, is we can pretty much guarantee certain things. We can pretty much guarantee aggro. Later on down the line, by the way, we're going to start losing access to exorcism whatsoever, outside of very specific units, because exorcism is still going to be a stats check, even if you're using the item for it. So even if you're using holy water, you still get, you still end up getting stats checked. So that's fun. Anyway, so we do 2 damage to Nibith right now with the... which Fizz-Up cards don't help with armor penetration. So, you know, if you're wondering if that was a factor, that is a factor. Anyway, so what we need is to get a breach on him. Technically, the bow would do more damage overall as soon as we get that breach on, so that's what we're going to try to do. Otherwise, the knights are there as the plan B to go beat the dude with hammers. So... That's the plan, anyway. Let's see, do we get some... I think we just attempt to re-charm this dude. The rest of this whole situation down here is just going to be a pile of mess that we're going to walk past for the moment. Anyway. Let's see. What else? 999, actually. Oh, I thought it was 900. Somebody told me it was 900. They probably were just shorthanding it. Oh yeah, give me that 2 damage. Hell yeah. So Nibith, by the way, they actually gave him back one of the properties that he had back in SNES in this version, which is just that he's bizarrely durable. I don't know why. It's very oddly specific, but it's just a thing that's both in SNES and in this version, but he's super squishy in PSP. Let's see. You're going to be moving first, so we'll go ahead and charm you, or at least attempt to. Alright. The odds of recruiting that guy are pretty low. You still have a blessing stone. Okay, I'm gonna send this knight back just in case. Technically speaking, it could be an all or nothing type situation here. I don't expect to run into that many financial issues in Chapter 1. We might run into some of them later, but at that point we'll have access to Farampa. One of the cool things that I know is a factor in this run is actually how the game handles scaling in random areas. So like the Wildwood is going to be a massive deal because we'll have access to infinite level 1 zombies. So either way, that'll give us something to play around with at that point. Let's see, 175. Let's go ahead and breach you, and then between those two, they should be able to finish them off just fine. Anyway. Let's see, probably because bosses have to be tanky, because bosses... Yeah, probably. But there was a... So, back in SNES, it was very strange, because for some reason, they particularly decided to make a lot of the wizards extremely, like, physically tanky, which was very odd, because I don't mean, like... You'd think it would be something along the lines of, well, you know, they just want to make sure you can't run up and snipe them with arrows, which is hilarious, because then in PSP, you could run up and snipe them with arrows, but... Back in SNES, funnily enough, the answer was still just to snipe them with arrows. The only difference was that, well, if you had physical attackers running up, like, I think everyone to some degree has had that experience of, you know, playing a lot of older games, but then going to Tactics Ogre SNES, and then suddenly they run up and hit the first wizard in the game, and your starting soldiers can potentially be 1 or 2 shot by the guy. because instead of just being super bulky, they are also extremely physically strong. So you more or less need your entire team to wrestle down this one guy. So either way, let's see. I think they've gotten Nib with the Dead to Rights at this point. I'm going to do a little bit of a risk here and attempt to recruit this guy with like 2% or whatever these odds happen to be. She probably won't even get a chance to use a recruit on him, but it's worth a shot. Just to, you know, in case this happens to be some big useful thing. But I think Nibby's pretty much screwed here. One axe hit should be all that they need here. One axe or one hammer hit. They got everything they need. Alright. But yeah, so because of that whole, the whole way that certain recruited characters will get to keep their levels and other characters won't. Here, we get 135 off that, 240, yeah, we can just go ahead and finish them off right here. The way that the characters are going to be kind of handled by the mod in question, there's a few things that I was thinking would actually make this not only possible to complete, but actually maybe possible to even get through Coda and stuff for. Okay, so let's see what do we got. Okay, so we don't see what happened to the zombie. Does she actually stay at 6, though, is the question. Do you want to recruit this unit? There they are, Zombo 1. Now, do they get leveled down is the thing. Alright. No, they actually stay at 6. Okay, that actually... Okay. See, the reason that I wanted to test this is because that particular detail changes everything about the run. My understanding was that when it came to recruitment, that they are forced to scale down to your particular level. Like, for example, if you recruit units above the level cap in the normal game... Actually, no, you can still recruit units above the level cap. It's just if they're above 50, they get scaled down. So I guess that still is consistent, actually. Anyway, so this actually changes the run entirely and suddenly became a hell of a lot easier. Okay, beautiful. In that case, we're barely limited whatsoever. This has just become a casual run. Alright. Beautiful. Let's see. She wants Instill Water to help protect her weaknesses a little bit, so let's go ahead and do this thing. Let's go ahead and buy some Instill Water to celebrate this whole situation. There we go. Alright, and let's go ahead and give you that. And actually, I just noticed something. Something very vital to the course of this run. Okay, I gotta save it real quick. Because there is a very important detail. That's, would you like to save your progress? No, I just saved progress. Now, we have a very important detail that we haven't sorted out yet. This dude needs a new name. Where the hell is... Wait. Did I already rename him? No, his name is Zero. Okay, you know what? Fine, whatever. I was gonna... Whenever the option pops back up again, I think it's like in like 20 fights or so, we need to rename him to G1 Michigan. We'll do that at that point. Anyway, so yeah, this run has just changed entirely, because if we can just absolutely bypass the whole level cap thing, then whatever. So you love the Valkyrie and Rune Fencer and Reborn. They're like Red Mage, but with more power. Oh yeah, they're awesome at everything. It's awesome. It's pretty darn great. You love to see it. Let's see. Do we want to switch their weapon up at all? Because I feel like spears are pretty great. I mean, especially once we get to Chapter 2, we can basically just get infinite of whatever zombies we'd like. And in fact, I mean, at that point... Should I just ban Recruit for this run, then? Because now that I think about it, this is absolutely... You know, whatever. We're playing it straight here. Eventually, down the road, there might be a level 1 mod exclusively. We're going to play it as is for the time being. Let's go ahead and replace you with you, so you can get some of them stabby skills up and proceed on. So G1 Michigan was a tough nut to crack? Yeah, but more so emotionally than physically. The emotional toll of that mission, man, you can't just take out the best character in the game like that. So in theory, you could scale generics back up to 50. Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Like, you can actually wind up with a team of level 50s over the course of this run. Because basically, Chapter 1, like, the reason that I was the reason I was expecting that they would scale down to 1 is because of that whole recruiting above the level cap thing. Which I guess, technically speaking, we do still have to babysit a completely one-shottable denim all game. So it's not really going to be that easy anyway. But basically, he let's see, through the course of chapter 1, you get access to those level 5s. Those level 5s give you access to recruit, which means that you can recruit any units that you run into over the course of the whole chapter, which means you have access up to like 8 or so, which means you can basically keep up with the level curve at all times, which means that you can then use those units to recruit better units, which means that you can then just kind of keep that gravy train rolling, you know? Yeah, thank God you didn't name it the level 1 run. Yeah. Alright, Alistair, time for the next one. I kid. We're playing this one through first. But anyways, yeah. Like, normal... So, the funny part is, I was expecting to play it straight as a level 1 run. Because So, the whole way through as a level 1 run here, the way that it would basically go is that over time, you would switch out a lot of your kind of more disposable generics for really, really fast zombies. So you would just try to find faster classes, give them lighter equipment. They're going to get one shot anyway, so who cares? You basically use buffs, like for example dodge or sidestep or whatever else, to make them have a chance to avoid whatever damage you're particularly threatened by at that particular time. Then essentially use poison to then wean them down to get them into recruit range. So you have the recruit units that are able to come back and insta-recruit those guys, potentially give them like let's say a magic restoral item of some kind on top of using recruit. So you have that to get kind of on par enemies in that particular fight itself, and then also in the background you're using casters with spell strike powder in order to give those 30% poison odds as well as 30% charm odds in order to constantly get more units both on your side and melting down using percentage-based damage. So that was kind of the plan to carry through the majority of the run, potentially even up to the finale. I don't think Trio could be done at level 1, but I think Coda 4 could be done at level 1. So it turns out Recruit can just fully bypass the whole level thing, is what I was saying. So I thought it was going to scale units down, which of course it wouldn't, because mechanically that's not what it's designed to do, because why would it? I was just joking, by the way. We're still carrying through. There's still a bunch of interesting facets to the way that we're going to have to handle this whole thing. Anyway. All right. Let's see. Only beef with Valks is that they can't use true one-handed hammers. I like hammers. Well, that's why you do like sword and one-handed Caldia. You still get access to the finishers, but you still have access to some of those other more punchy weapons. Alright, let's see about getting this wizard on our side. Giving them 36% odds. Alright. See, because I loved the idea of going through and using only these, like, aces with their 30% hit chances and stuff like that. Using ranges that were just far enough, and then using guaranteed hit debuffs, and then, all that kind of thing. So we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, bear in mind, again, this is like... we maybe can get some units some of the time. If we try to go into random fights, they still will be scaled down. Let's see, was prepared for that sort of thing? The solutions that you're using Recruit as a crutch. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It might be time to just ban Recruit. So, guess we're going to have to take a vote on that. I mean, frankly, as far as Chapter 1's concerned, it's not really going to be too big of a factor anyway. Maybe, I think the way that we're going to do this, maybe I just don't deploy Recruits. Like, Recruit can be used offensively as a weapon during the fight. I just can't keep those units. That feels like a solid compromise in my book. What do you guys think? Because, like, the thing is, I like using it as a weapon. It feels very cool to be able to be like, yeah, they just talk their way out of that fight. Like right here, especially on, like, Knights and Valkyries and stuff like that, it's a huge part of who they are. But yeah, aside from using them for equipment and stuff like that, we can just pretend that they got scaled down to level 1 or something. Because legit, outside of using named characters, it literally would be as simple as getting named characters, deploying them out to a fight, and then just reducing everything down to recruit range, and there you go, you have a completely up to par team. Because going through Chapter 1, you only have access to those 5s. Even with just Canopus, it's enough to get by. Chapter 1's easy. In Chapter 2, you pretty much immediately get access to Aerosel there. You can use her to cheese stuff. Vice, as usual, would be the big kind of challenge there. Going into Farampa, though, the whole recruit rule throws out a lot of the other units I was hoping to use for this whole thing. Your hoplites and things like that. Let's see, agree with that, but I always forget to use recruit. It's legit one of the most overpowered things by far in this game. Like, it is stupid powerful. It's like, oh, you got 30% charm. Okay, I have 30% chance to convince this person to permanently join our team, break the unit cap, and also, remove a unit from their side at the same time. Like, damn, dude. That's a bit much, don't you think? What if recruiting only in story fights? I mean, we're basically already only recruiting in story fights. I could, I mean, yeah, we could just ban outside areas. So we just change this to, like, a minimum battles rule set, I guess? How would that change things? Would that change access to anything? I mean, that might be an easier compromise, too. Because then if it's minimum battles, then then you still would be allowed to go get monster units and stuff, because I did want to show off some cool aspects of monster units this run. So then we'd be able to get Beast Tamer in the next fight. Would be able to probably do some Octopi by the time we get to Chapter 2. Are there any Cyclops? I really wanted to use Cyclops. There wouldn't be any zombie Cyclops until the very end. And I feel that's probably interesting enough. Let's see. One thing I just discovered is that Terror Knights have the same int growth as a Rune Fencer. That's cool. Yep. Funnily enough, though, they don't even need it. All they need is concentration, and that's all they ever need. Because Fear plus their leech move, it absolutely slaps, is the thing. Because they'll basically go from nearly always doing like 100 health worth of healthy suck, in order to basically just go immediately to like 200. You go and multiply with the cards a little bit. Suddenly they're, give them some crits or something. They're like dropping 500-600 health steals. Which does the TK no good. He only gets debuff access unless you loved him for bulk. No. They still have access to their health suck move. It's just a matter of their fear debuff. So if you really want to make use of their health steal, use a cudgel build. Like, personally, the way I love running my Terror Knights is cudgel plus concentration plus a health suck, as well as the sleep move. So most of the time they're just going around to put stuff to sleep. They use Lament of the Dead to break defenses of units around them. They use the finisher from the cudgel to go and just drop a magic breach on somebody, and then essentially we'll use that to go and combine in like a crit card or something like that to just insta delete something and eat all of their health at once. It takes a little bit of a second to set up, but considering that they're usually not doing anything better anyway, you might as well. Feels pretty good. Alright, sorry, Throw decided to do funny things there. You there, low-level unit. Shank this random lady over here. For reasons. Alright. Should probably have her doing some of that attacking stuff. You know what? I really should have named this one Air if they're just going to keep coming back. Like, they've got the fire element. They keep coming back to life. There's that. But okay, yeah, you know what? I'm liking that idea, though, with the story recruits only. Because then potentially we would still have access to some recruits, and we still would be able to keep the zombie and stuff like that. But we wouldn't be able to just go get an infinite amount of zombies or whatever. You know what? That feels like a good compromise. So you're still not grieving for being able to recruit rogues, or still grieving for not being able to recruit rogues. I mean, yeah, it would be cool to have them, but like their role hasn't gone anywhere. It's kind of the only thing there. It's like overall, as far as rogues are concerned, see, here's the thing. As much as I liked rogues as an overall unit, they did always, and this isn't like a justification thing, I just mean in general they always felt a bit kind of out of place in PSP to a degree. Only because they suddenly kind of had the same thing that the Wizards had, where it's like, here's this one unit with all these features that nobody else has. Like, it felt a little bit very DLC character-esque, you know? Which is like, here you go, they get this steal mechanic, and they get this, the speed-up mechanic, and they get all these other mechanics. Like, did you actually intend to have these guys here the whole time, or was this a late addition after you were already done? Because that's what they feel like. Let's see, so Denham is a mafia lord who recruits stronger people. Yeah, basically. And, you know what, the more that I think about it, the more that I like that idea of just doing minimum battles for this whole thing. Like, it fits. It fits. It fits the overall tone of everything. Alright, might actually try Mage Terror ones. That's the thing, though. You don't necessarily just do one thing, though. You try everything with them. The way that I like doing them is that they sit up front, they just collect some skill cards, they do their laments, and then they look for crit cards, because as soon as they get those laments, suddenly those targets are way more open for health steals. All the rest of the time, they're just putting crap to sleep. Like so. Like, that guy was awake, and now he's asleep. Fantastic! You know what? War is best fought by taking naps. Alright, let's see, what about Charm? Cool thing is, if somebody's asleep, you can actually keep attempting to charm them while they're asleep, and then they can wake up and be your nice little mind control buddy. Alright, so you should name a unit of Guazo and just let his whole existence be getting dunked on by enemies. Oh man, that poor guy gets dunked on by life. Oh, dude, the way they handled NG++, like, it's... How much better could that honestly have been? Like, just to take this absolute nothing situation and be like, what if this character you never thought about twice came back in such a huge way, you know? Oh, you love to see it. Alright, let's get to Valair some critical here, I think. Alright. It's more because I love the design. Understandable. Understandable. They were pretty darn stylish. Yeah, I'd be fine with them coming back with just the visuals even. Or even just custom portraits or whatnot. Alright. See, Bonker, of course, you refused to join right away. I mean, that's how you recruit in this universe, to be fair. You basically just whack somebody upside the head and like, would you prefer death or just crappy food? We got both in spades. It's up to you. Alright. I think actually that was another one of those moments that I really liked from AC6 there. That moment where he's like, you know what? Look, life absolutely sucks in this universe. Everything's super bleak, but hey, at least we're alive. It's like, man, it's an interesting indictment of your own situation, but also, good point. Ah, dude, AC6 is so good. Female rogue with eye patch is really bad. So, yeah, it's kind of weird how they get the eye patch and then immediately don't have the eye patch anymore. That one always kind of bugged me, to be honest. Like, what happened to your eye patch? Why is it gone all of a sudden? Like, you had that thing, now you don't have that thing. Like, are you visually impaired? Are you not visually impaired? Do you secretly just kind of decide to do the whole thing where you're doing the whole pirate thing, trying to block off one eye, or what's your deal? Alright. Not really pirate thing, just more ye old navy, I suppose. Alright, let's see if we can recruit this one. Apparently not. Fine, fine. Alright, so I'm going to have to update the last video with a new rule set then. See how we handle all of this sumsuchery. Because yeah, if we're recruiting only in stories, that should keep the challenge going, and it should still allow for interesting recruit scenarios. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to stick with. Because banning a recruit outright would require changing an absolute ton of things, and I don't want to sit here only using poison. Because yeah, basically it would switch to mostly just using charm, which is the same thing with less permanence. Like, it would still be doable, it would just be way more annoying. So there's that. Alright. Anyway, so yeah, no going into Farampa, none of that. No side areas, just minimum battles only, that will be the rule. Alright. Do you want to join? Cake or death, as they say. There you go. It's always weird thinking back on old comedians, because it's kind of hard to keep track of what old comedians have gotten themselves into trouble for saying stupid crap, or, you know, potentially turning out to be horrible people or not. It's a little bit hard to remember. See, one sad thing about this game is now I want more Ogre series games, and I don't have hope that that's going to happen. I think it will. Like, we've been eating pretty good as far as the SRPG genre goes. I mean, as much as I like making fun of it, I'm pretty sure we'll end up getting a Triangle 2 at some point. FFT remake is still in the works, as much as they're not officially announcing it. We've got another supposedly Tactics Ogre-esque project coming from the Fellseal people, if y'all didn't hear about that. Actually, funnily enough, if you like Monster Sanctuary or Fellseal, apparently they're both working on that, I guess. I don't know the specifics of all that stuff, but apparently it's something along those lines. That is to say, I was told more specifics, I just don't remember things, so, you know. Let's see, kind of wish you could recruit enemy-only classes with recruit. I can totally see the enemy going like, yo, Barbas does suck and you know it, join me. 30 minutes later, Lance is surrounded by his own men. Yeah, I believe it. I mean, that is literally an item in Ogre Battle 64, to be fair. Where you just get 3 uses, I think it was 3 total uses, of an item where they're like, yeah, you just basically point at a guy and say, yeah, just give me that, please. And like you could basically use it to recruit a bunch of units that you wouldn't be able to otherwise get. Like you can use it on or rather, it would be very difficult to get. Like there's almost no dragoons that you can get a hold of naturally, but you'd be able to get a second dragoon that way. You got you can get a hold of angels and such. You can get sphinxes and all that. So either way, it's kind of a cool thing there. I think Love and Peace was the name of the item, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I would love to cover more of OB64. That's why I was really excited to do the Griffin only run. I don't know why I'm trying to pull a 0% move here, but yeah, it's one of those ones that's a bit of a long one, so it always ends up being like, maybe I should do this other thing first, and then, you know, then we wait a little bit longer and it's like, hey, great, feeling all inspired to do it, and then life just shows up and just friggin' suplexes all hopes into the ground for another week. Anyway, life will do that sometimes. Life just likes being like that in general. Anyway, carrying on though. But yeah, let's see, as far as other SRPG type stuff, what else do we got coming up here? Symphony of War is still, I mean, they just released their DLC a moment ago. We've still got that new Ogre Battle-like coming up. That's Unicorn Ogre Lord, as I'm surprised nobody's started calling it yet. Which, yeah, that looks freaking awesome. The more people keep telling me about this Vanillaware thing, the more it sounds like they're just something I've been sleeping on for years. Apparently they just never made a bad game ever, hearing the way people tell it. So there's that too. How do you play OB64 emulate? I mean, yeah, there's not really many other ways to do that unless you happen to have a Wii or Wii U just kind of laying around and happen to have realized that they had those remade quietly and never announced anywhere like a decade ago. You can't really buy it anywhere. See, just like the new Atlas announcement is the battle camera. I love though. Was that Google Translate doing something? Or you okay over there? This guy 7 in a few weeks. Also true. Also true. It's funny, Disgaea is one of those series that I really respect the hell out of and then just very rarely play. I don't know why. Like, I remember constantly going through Disgaea 2 and just chuckling at every freaking item description and everything else, but I don't know, for some reason I just never really play them that much. I've played 1 on the DS, I've played 2 on the PSP. I don't even remember what happened to my game cart for the DS one. But either way, yeah, like, it's like, love the hell out of those. We'll always forever remember the, how somebody managed to get away with a joke of calling someone Napoleon Bonaparte, but anyway. Let's see. I think partially it's just one of those things where you can't really play it at a family game night without getting some funny looks. It's kind of one of those little hidden features that never gets brought up about Tactics Ogre, of like, you can play this anywhere and just be like, hey, it's okay guys, it's cool, it's just war crimes, it's not boobs. Let's see, Wii U Virtual Console Ogre Battle 64 looks really good, better than physical N64. I believe it. I believe it. Try D5, it's stupid. I think D5 was, so, years ago, okay, was it 4 or 5 that came out, like a decade ago now? It's weird to think how long ago 2021 was, or not 2021, but 2011 was. It was like 2011, 2012, somewhere in that ballpark. I had an ex that was super into one of the Disgaeas that like took place in a schoolhouse or something. Which, I mean, go figure, a series that manages a series from Japan that manages to go that long without taking place at a schoolhouse. You know, points for managing to kind of keep it hidden away for that long. All right, but yeah, if somebody at some point posted up a like Wii U version or Wii version or whatever else of Ogre Battle 64 or even of March of the Black Queen, I would have really loved to cover those. I did look for them fairly extensively because there actually are changes to the Virtual Console versions for both of those. But as far as I can tell, nobody's actually posted them anywhere, and there's no legit way to get them anymore, and I don't have those consoles, and even if I did, I don't really know if my recording stuff works with them even. And frankly, it would just be way too much for a, hey, look, this is neat kind of situation, you know? Either way. Alright, let's see. What do you have? Just poison right now? Go for the 7% poison, see if you can finish this guy off. No? Alright, fine. So you can't stand the theme and art of this guy. To some degree, I can understand that, but I do love the music. I don't know if the theme, you mean like themes is in the music or the themes is in like the overall tone, because the tone is different on every one of them. Like, I personally really dug 2. Like, 1 didn't really do it for me. A lot of the other ones were kind of just, this is neat, but I don't know if I can get into it. But something about the weirdness of 2 is kind of dead for me. I don't know why. Let's see. Just heal this guy? Sure. So I forgot the name of the new Atlas game announced this week, but I just like the battle camera being platforma, not isometrical, even when the camera design and when the characters are awesome. Personally, I didn't like it at first, but man, I've been liking it more and more because it feels very cramped. Like, it feels very intentionally in your face, you know? It's Unicorn Overlord, by the way, which I personally think everyone should just out of habit be calling it Unicorn Overlord, but yeah. Let's see, Disgaea 4 was PS3 was September 2011. Yeah. That sounds about right then. That was definitely that one. Let's pew this guy real quick. And then we move on all here. He picks up this card. He will continue doing no damage to stuff for the moment. Disgaea 3 was 2008 originally. Okay. Yeah, I just remember seeing a new one and was like, hey, they made more of these? This is crazy. And then the only reason that I remember that it was like 2011, 2012 is because I remember a little bit after that was that whole like Mayan Armageddon thing that people were going nuts for because I was in Florida at the time and people are friggin' weird. Like people selling like stone Mayan calendars everywhere and whatever. God, Florida is just the most place that exists. Alright. Man, I can't believe that we've only gotten through like 2 fights and already gotta get pretty close to wrapping up soon. That's a little bit frustrating. My time's gonna be like that sometimes. Alright. See if you can maybe delete this guy with your knife, please. Love how this one wizard has gotten more kills with her knife than anything else. Here we go. Sir, cake your death. So yeah, like I said, I picked up the PSP versions of 1 and 2 in 2010, went on a bender picking them all up that year and pre-ordered Disgaea 4, understandable. Yeah, I liked 2 on the PSP. I think that was part of the reason that I liked it so much, and don't get me wrong, there were still plenty of frustrations. Like, I remember vividly spending over an hour going through item dungeons and whatever else, only to run into one of those levels where they're like, hey, so here's a bunch of units that can just like one-shot your entire team on turn 1. It's too bad you should have left beforehand, Howard. I suppose you were supposed to be able to know that this was a thing that could happen. Ever played Dragon Force on the Saturn? I have not. But they eventually became a band. I kid, I know that they're not the same thing, but still. See, so you are Florida man? More so from everywhere. Had grown up in Florida, had lived in the desert for a while, had lived in California for a while, was doing the whole corporate traveling life for a while, but ended up preferring Michigan. I just like it here. It's nice. It's very Michigan-y. It's I don't even know how else you describe it. Michigan is a very Michigan experience. Everything's all hazy and no one's politics make sense, but everyone tries to get along regardless. Let's see, I think I've used the hell out of the level 99 glitch. Is that... I don't remember which one that is. I remember hearing about some glitches, but don't remember most of them. Alright, did she finally roll her spell strike? Can you poison this guy now, please? We're going to have a hard time getting through some bosses, but we can make use of stuff like these river tiles over here to deny movement. We might lose Voltaire here. But then again, now that we found out that we can actually get people through the story, we can actually replace him fairly quickly. Anyway. But for many of the bosses, we're going to be relying on just dropping poison. Thank you, 4%, for rolling. Alright, let's see. Enemies who are level 99 give the same experience as level 320 enemies. Good lord, sometimes your glitches get very oddly specific, don't they? Hello there, Stormrage. What's up? I mean, a ceiling. There's that. Has he got some stuff sticking out of it? And at some point, somebody put like a little... like one of those little car breath smell things because it looked like a tree and the kids found it funny. So that's about what's up there right now. Also, I meant to recruit that lady, but I guess, you know, death works too. Oh well. Because yeah, I wanted a cleric that actually had access to her heal move. Oh well, next fight. Like I said, we'll stubbornly continue on. I like that role of using recruit only in story fights. We're doing minimum battles. And just kind of gonna play it by ear. See how this all ends up playing out. Alright. I don't suppose this guy survived on 1 health. No, he survived on 6. He is still a threat. Go this way. See, not so much a glitch nowadays. It's been intentional since Disgaea 3. So it just kind of like maxes out at 99 and keeps on going that way. Alright, fair enough. Fair enough, fair enough. And if you're wondering if the AI is ever capable of killing somebody with a stick, she just did. Making use of that knockback damage I was talking about. Okay. I mean, so far we're looking so good. Obviously, we haven't really run into anything that's a serious threat as of yet. But, yeah. Man. People would be so pissed from a few months ago seeing an archer do more damage than anything else on the team right now. Well, such is how it is sometimes. So I guess in many ways this is kind of going to end up going from being the spiritual successor to the level 1 run to kind of being the spiritual successor to the, what the hell is it called? The, I'm completely blanking on the name of that one thing that was basically doing nothing across the entire run. Suboptimal, there we go. My apparently brain melted today. Just kind of fell out of my ear and I didn't even notice. Alright. 36%. That would be enough to finish you off. Let's see. And 4 had an early map in like Chapter 4 or 5 where you could buff the entire map to 99. Everything is on 100% XP tiles. Oh. Well, I mean, that sounds like a quick and fun time then. So this guy should be able to melt away. We should be able to finish him off without too much additional drama here. Attempt to recruit this one before you finish her off. Perfect. Alright. That'll do. That'll do. So that gives us a new caster that's actually capable of casting at things. Probably no new sticks or anything, though. Denim is forever going to be at 1. And I guess we'll just smackify you then. Alright. There we are. Just go over here. There we go. This, oh, she almost can finish this guy off. He's at 64 right now. With that card, he probably would be at 80, 90-ish. Ah, well, whatever. He's pretty much dead to rights as it is. Especially if you go over here, drop 1 more tick of damage on him, and... okay, he needs 2 more poison ticks to die. You rarely see this line, by the way. Zombie recruitment. See, that's the thing. They constantly were overlooking this in Resident Evil. Like, all you have to do is go up and talk to the zombies. You could have easily gotten out of that mansion, no trouble. But no, everyone's just like, no, I gotta go for the headshots and knives to the friggin' eyeball. Just goes to show you. Show you what? I don't know. Something, probably. Enchantress, you make an excellent argument. Yeah. You know, so it's funny, the second most popular option for today's stream thing was that Crimson Tactics review through. And it's funny because recruit is such an insanely powerful tool in that one. Like, realistically speaking, you could immediately have your two story characters at the start just like run up and start recruiting random people just with their 10-15% recruit odds, and they never need to attack a single dang thing. They literally can just sit there with shields spamming recruit the entire fight and just win. But it's funny because there's only like 2 or 3 recruit lines. All right. How would you feel if character leveling was removed from TO altogether except for denim, essentially emphasizing disposable units? I would call that what this version kind of does in many ways, which I really love. So, hell yeah is what I'd say to that. Personally, if they just did the XCOM approach, I think it would have been excellent. Hell, I already think it's excellent, but I just mean, like, it would have been really cool to just see them do the XCOM approach, you know? Actually, one weird thing. Hold up. Where's my zombie? You do get weapon skills. I was going to say, did they actually get experience over this whole thing? Because I actually didn't know if they did. But yeah, essentially, the way, like, for all intents and purposes, the way that Reborn handles things, like the way that they scaled everything, the way that everything's presented, you already have that version in Tactics Ogre Reborn. All you gotta do is just don't use charms and just play with the recruit and whatever else. And at that point, that's exactly what you're doing. That's when I was doing that whole, like, no stats, whatever, run recently to see if trio was possible with the minimum stats possible. It absolutely was still doable, and it was honestly the most fun I've had playing this game full stop. It just felt like the way that it was designed to be played. The farther a strategy game goes into the RPG side, the more it gets hurt, weirdly enough, is kind of how I prefer to see it. Again, there's exceptions, obviously, but I mean, like, it's very easy for the RPG side to just take the strategy side by the throat and just shove it under the water, you know? It's very difficult for the strategy game to remain strategic as soon as the numbers get insane, and that's the point when, you know, it just starts becoming about grind, and that's super annoying. So that's why I love doing stuff like this, where it's literally just all about execution and whatever else, and not about breaking, you know, not about how much could you turn this thing into a day job. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue on here. Can we do rhyme? Is there enough time for rhyme? I don't think there's going to be enough time for rhyme. Okay. And yeah, Handler Denim. I know I actually had him as named Handler Walter for a decently long time there. All right, I gotta get going because I got a bunch of stuff that I still need to get done today. But if this works, if this time works for folks, I think I can do it more often. RPG side can take over the strategy John Dark moment. Okay, I definitely need to look into that one. I'm assuming, like, I've played a little bit of it, but for some reason, every time that I've started getting into it, I was using it on a test PSP, and then immediately would end up selling that unit, and buying another one, and then forgetting to try it again, and, like, never actually ended up going anywhere with it. See, I'd like to see more RPG strategy games like Advanced Wars with disposable units rather than Fire Emblem, i.e. reset if character dies yet. And that's, again, one of those reasons that, like, TO always spoke to me. Because it's a case where even if your character dies, you're not missing out on content. You're getting new content because that character died. Scenes will change, you know, people will say different things like, oh, we rescue, you know, one of the more notable ones is just how far they go out of their way. If Kashua dies, like, you save her, you just throw her off a random cliff on the way back home. They're like, hey, we saved her. What gives? Where is, where's your sister? Like, yeah, they didn't make the return trip home. They're like, would you like a shotgun now? It's such a weird left turn just because they probably knew that there's no way you pulled this off on accident. We saved her just so we could feed her to a dragon kind of a situation. Anyways, will we ever get a cool triangle strategy run? See, that's the thing. When I was doing... I can continue... The no camp run got up to the castle siege bit, or the home base siege bit, and it literally was just a normal run. Every time that I was trying to come up with a new rule set for doing a challenge run for Triangle, it was literally just the same frickin' game, and it didn't change whatsoever. Like, so I was thinking, like, maybe the story would change if we did a no camp run, and there's no other characters, and hey, guess what? It still completely didn't change because none of the side characters ever interact with the story whatsoever. Or, you know, none of the important ones can actually die outside of the endings, or or it's like, okay, maybe the strategy will change. Nope. All there's a few skills that you're just sort of going to get regardless, and other than that, your units still level up like normal. Their upgrades are, I mean, they just hit slightly less, but they're still basically the same. No Freddy run? I mean, I'm not really sure what that would necessarily change. The ground isn't on fire sometimes. But yeah, it literally just felt like playing the game like normal. I was bored out of my freaking mind. It was the same game as normal. It was just taking longer. So like through the combination of I just can't stand this writing to the fact that nothing was changing from a challenge run, the will to continue on doing anything in it just immediately melted faster than a chocolate bar in Florida. Like, if enough folks want it to happen, sure, again, no camp feels like the most interesting one, because they actually felt like they had some interesting ideas there. Let's see, a character where you put the characters on a wheel and decide who to use. I mean, that's basically the recommendation system. But I don't feel like grinding them up is the thing. Like, grinding everyone up kind of sucked. But no, like the no camp run, right? So the reason that I found that one interesting, and if it is going to be a challenge run, it probably will be that, because they had mechanics in there that made it seem like that was the intended way to play, like the camp was never intended to be there to begin with. Because again, none of the side characters that join you in the camp have any play into the story whatsoever. You have shops that will sell different items that are available on maps, and it's a lot more interesting to use only items from those shops. Basically, it just changes the kinds of stuff you have access to on every different route, because you can't just go and buy them. It does, you know, it does actually make use of mechanics you wouldn't otherwise see. And really, again, the moment that kind of really soured me on the whole thing was after seeing that nothing was changing, getting to the kind of castle siege and stuff like that, and then just wandering around the entire map trying to see what was available, and then looking out in the background like, it would have been so easy to do anything with this background right now. There's supposed to be an army standing right over there. It's just an empty field. You could have put the war chest pieces over there. You could have just put a red glow over there. You could have put the units themselves over there. You could have put like a blurry army, you know, of all of those random units just quietly marching in the background. Something. Like, there were so many better ways to handle this, other than here, it's the same town as always, but villager number 45 over there is so concerned, man. Yeah. God, so much wasted potential. Anyway, sorry, there was just so... Okay, there's I think I'll probably end up posting the thing at some point this week. I made like a 2-hour-long video over just a bunch of different examples over where just Triangle had such a cool idea in mind, and then just did like frickin' nothing with it, and then just like would set up stuff, and then just doesn't pay it off. Or like, here's this cool mechanic, we're gonna use it once on this random side fight. Or... there were so many moments there where they clearly had so much better of an idea in mind, and then just went with the way shittier one at the last minute. Saying that no camp run changes nothing is kind of BS, though. You have no idea how easily Medina breaks the game in tiny little pieces. I don't think he's even in... Is he even in the... I don't recall him being even in there, is he? Because, frankly, most of the fights just consisted of the usual of just you pull stuff away one at a time, then you just kind of shank stuff. But again, as far as the whole like breaking stuff in half with completely maxed out characters thing, that's fine and being its own thing. I just mean for a first playthrough, it doesn't change the feel at all. Like right now, like let's say what we're doing with this run, where instead of going and attempting to move up in formations or surrounding people or whatever else, essentially we're trying to recruit people, we're trying to charm people, we're trying to poison people, we're using different tools and different stuff that we weren't using before. Whereas, for example, in Triangle's case, I was figuring I was going to go use more of the floor mechanics. Maybe we'd see more from that. But they just don't have enough impact by themselves to actually change anything. So it's like, it still ends up changing to the same thing where, like, for example, you know when you're going and visiting the icy place, right? So during that run, which, again, if people are interested, I do still have the first one saved somewhere. Or the first few hours of that run saved somewhere. I just haven't touched it since. Anyways, so for example, there was a thought that, okay, the standoff fight in the winter area there, it's going to be feeling different, but it was the exact same thing of just lock up in the choke point. You can set the ground on fire, but it ends up not really playing too much of a factor, because maybe a couple of them run through those tiles and that's it. I was trying to make use of oil, was trying to make use of fire, but they added an extra interaction where the snow eats up the oil, so you have to go and use those twice in order to actually make use of the fire tiles, in order to use them in a choke point. It's like, this would be cool if it wasn't a pain in this particular situation, and it's like, it's one of those things, like, I respect that somebody thought to change how the water mechanics would change here, but also, like, this is actively making this situation more annoying, you know? Let's see. Triangle's definitely a game that had more potential than an execution. Hopefully a sequel, and they had discussed improvements. And, like, that's the thing, though. It had a ton of really cool potential there. That's what was so frustrating about it. That's why it pisses me off so much. Because the whole voting thing is a really novel idea. And they do practically nothing with it outside of the endings. And even with the endings, you're still usually going to have a choice of, like, 2 or 3 of them. Depending on the situation. And again, with the whole point system, like, they tried to do what Mass Effect did, but did it less successfully. They tried to do the choice thing, allegedly, like Tactics Ogre did, but again, most of the choices do nothing in the long term. I mean, it still bugs me to no end that the difference between genocide and sparing everybody pacifistly has pretty much no change outside of one line of dialogue in one situation. Like, it doesn't even the most telling moment, I think, is one that they put in there themselves, which was with the final scenario. Where they added a post-game scene that was supposed to be after you got the golden round and everything, and in this post-game scene, it was supposed to fully wrap up all these extra storylines, which I forget the exact phrasing. I don't think it was like, we will promise to fully wrap up everything, but either way, it was mentioning that it would wrap up a few things. They still did not answer any questions about any of the side characters. And if you're thinking any of your story decisions whatsoever would matter, not a single one mattered, except for one. Did you burn down those towns over the course of your playthrough? And the only thing it changes is what location everything happens at. There's no other difference otherwise. So that is the only decision that has, like, universal consequences. Villager number 45's house over there, and whether or not it burned down. All of the other, potential atrocities or whatever else you've done, who cares about that? You're still going to go through the same plot lines regardless. But that guy's house, that guy's little hovel, that is the most important plot point in the whole dang thing. But anyways, the only side characters that actually get any conclusions in the actual conclusion there are the frickin' merchant guy, which... Am I the only one who thinks that he's just generic merchant guy? Like, he talks funny. He's just generic merchant guy. Oh, look, he sells plates now. Cool. Okay, so that couple over there that's been talking about how they're going to meet up with each other and they're standing feet from each other, that a lot of folks have brought up ad nauseum, we're just going to not touch that whatsoever. The one guy with PTSD that supposedly got over that, the several different leaders that supposedly changed sides, Roland's frickin' mentor that came back from the dead to never talk to him once. We're just going to not touch any of that, right? No, that guy started a plate business. That's the important part. Every time, man. Every time I touch that game, it annoys me more. Oh, boy. Anyway. Let's see. If you think of units that aren't favorited, you'll find a new level strategy you'll have to adapt to. Like Picoletto Duco was trash at first. I really liked using that one, just because they basically felt like the Mimic Beacon from XCOM 2, except a unit. Let's see. New Game Plus was a god. Yep. I mean, they're alright. Personally, I found them really overpowered early on, and then just kind of ended up dropping them in favor of all the invincibility mechanics. But yeah, that's the thing. They had ideas, and like, a lot of their ideas start off strong and then just fizzle over the course of everything. Like Trap Guy. You couldn't add one more trap to the guy, anything. Like, you couldn't give him one more thing to play around with. The traps are a cool idea, but he only gets 2 traps in the entire game. Mimic Child does get a few different mechanics, and using items with her and everything else is fun. That's legitimately good. Yeah, like Maxwell was weird, just like Vice doesn't give a crap if Cashrook gets killed by your own troops. Yeah, I mean, I'd assume he knows that you've got time travel if you're doing that, but yeah, it's certainly a weird one. But like, and especially anything to do with the pink storyline whatsoever makes zero sense. It's like they started off with the golden route, and that's what they designed, and then somebody just like kicked in the door one day, like, guys, hear me out. We need to have different endings all of a sudden. And so then they just sort of like pieced together pieces of that golden ending, and then they like just kind of made them their own thing. Like, again, I'll go over it in that video, but like the pink route, Freddy's whole freaking plan there of just like, I'm just gonna go in, right? I'm just gonna go in. We're gonna go in and see this like experimental super weapon that we know nothing about. We don't know the location of it. We don't know how to use it. And we're going to go in here. We're going to magically figure it out in like 5 minutes. We're going to attack the hospital in order to get a hold of one. And then we're going to specifically use this to do a surgical strike on those boats over there. But then also we're going to escape out just fine. But then also we could have sent in revolutionaries ages ago because they were already revolutionaries. We sent them in to do a revolutionary thing, but nobody's going to mention for them to do the revolutionary thing. So they're just going to immediately give up upon getting there, because that's what revolutionaries do. They give up at the first sign of resistance. And so they're going to go ahead and just kind of sit there, give up their hope on life. We're going to show up by shanking up a couple guards, blowing up a couple things, blow up a statue, because we can't use that for anything better, clearly. And then something, we just get out of there, I guess. Like, think you would have liked Benedict's, or, I mean, yeah, that's the one that I was actually originally leaning towards the first time, and then I was like, well, I think this being able to leave option sounds pretty fun, because I always like that in Suikoden too, and, you know. Anyway, so you're saying the Triangle Strategy 2 that learned from the first one could be really good? Yeah, I'm saying it could. It had so much potential. It pisses me off because it had so much potential that it did nothing with. Every time that it would pick up a mechanic, it would just forget that it had it and fall out of its pants. You know? See, Gold Ending was the one out of place. Triangle Strategy was definitely inspired by Three Houses, where you must choose who to side with. Maybe. I personally, I haven't played Three Houses. I had no interest in that one, but this is about Triangle right now? Yeah. I was about to end the stream, and apparently we're just ranting about Triangle now. Let's see, whenever you do a run, again, you better pick a different route so you can see how things go. Dude, I've done the different routes. I've practically 100% of the thing. The only one that I skipped on the on those different playthroughs, just due to burnout, was the red route. So I ended up just going and watching that one. I just ended up doing pink, blue, and then golden route. Dude's been talking at 3 times speed and I have a hard time following. Yes, coffee will do that. But yeah, so as far as Triangle goes, again, like, what bugged me about it is just that it had this potential to do so many cool things with those ideas, and then when they were going and, you know, doing dives into its code and whatever else, there were signs that there were essentially a lot of cut bits that were way cooler than the final result. A lot of, you know, character moments that would have been really solid character moments. Like, again, the whole Roland actually having some agency for once kind of thing. He has like 2 solid decisions over the course of the entire game. The rest of the time he just looks like a lost puppy. Roland's route would have made you mad. Oh yeah, no, I personally, I think on Roland's route there should have just been the option to go throw him into a dang ditch. Again, I'll mention this in the video. Like, I literally just made like a 2-hour long rant over where a lot of those things had been done right by other games in the past. And frankly, like, in Roland's case, his like immediate default reaction to everything is like, I'm just gonna bitch out immediately, guys. Excuse me, I'm sorry, the mailman showed up, I have to go surrender. Like, at every freaking opportunity. Like, my god, man. Stop giving up. You cannot be this much of a wuss. And it, like, that's a few times I've been yelled at in comments before of like, no, that just shows his determination to sacrifice for his people. Like, no, that if he played it politically, maybe, but he just immediately gives up. Anyway, all right. Anyway, I do have to get going now. Let's see. Challenge: make a non-TS related live stream without ranting about TS. Impossible. Hey, to be fair, I didn't bring it up this time. Anyway, let's see. With all the bad stuff revolving Crimson at this point, does it seem better than Triangle to you? In terms of its beginning so far, from what I've seen, here's the thing. Like, obviously, when it comes to visual stuff, I personally don't care as long as the visuals work. So that part isn't going to be too much of a factor. Personally, I'm not even counting that part. As far as the writing goes, the fact that they, actually do stuff with emotional moments so far, I definitely would lean towards Crimson in that particular one. So far, again, I'm not done with the thing. I'm trying to get through it. As far as actually having options to do stuff with your units, yeah, I definitely would prefer to have that rather than have all of your people be pre-canned units. As far as having actual character deaths in the story for somebody that doesn't look like a Saturday morning cartoon villain, then yes, I would definitely lean towards that as well. As far as being able to do, again, just like adding mounts to your people rather than having them be permanently attached to them, yes, then I would prefer that as well. Final verdict as far as whether, one triangle is worth 2 crimsons there is a bit of a weird math situation exactly. Personally, if what I've heard about the ending is true, I think Crimson should probably drop it down to 20 and hope to regain some good favor, because oh my god, that review bomb killed it hard. Yeesh. Let's see. Roland kept... I mean, he did. He never stops giving up. Pretty much when you're attacking the capital is the only time he ever decides to go on the offensive on frickin' anything. Every other time, he just walks into the room, waving white flags in each hand, guys, I am ready to go down for anybody that wants to attack right now. Hey, Roland's raining outside. He can come up to his hand immediately. Yes. Exactly. Lost all respect when he went let's ally with the racist religious cult. Yeah, Benedict constantly can't stop suggesting war crimes, but at least his plan makes sense. Roland's a pessimist, even in Chapter 2 shows doubts with both Max and Serena always wants the easy way out. Yeah, that's what I mean. He's not determined. Dude's just a bitch. Anyway, see, it ends on nowhere, and not one choice in Crimson matters at all. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. I've seen as far as the choices that... Okay, Crimson, it's a weird thing. So as far as the choices go, I'm kind of holding out on that one, because from what I've heard, I could be completely mistaken on this. From what I heard, it's both a combination of story choices as well as how many people you spare in fights that changes certain events. I haven't reached out to the dev about that particular question as of yet, because I want to see if I can figure that out for myself, because I'm pretty sure they don't want to be answering any mechanical questions while their game's on fire right now. But let's see, heard it ends out of nowhere, and not sure, but yeah, so far as the choices, they've changed some dialogue. I know I did opposite choices for my first playthrough, and the first one they acknowledged that you were trying to save people but you failed to do it, whereas the second one I intentionally was just yeah, war crimes all day, boss, let's do this, and they actually actively got more pissy in dialogue. It didn't change anything fully story-wise or anything, it didn't change routes or whatever, but it did seem to change how people were interacting with you. But I don't know for sure just yet, and frankly got a bit too obsessed with Armored Core 6 and also depressing life stuff that I'm not going to mention here, so either way. Let's see, only samurai fight or ninjas fight? Huh, okay, I don't know why I'm just immediately picturing Saints Row 2 and the cops fighting the ninjas, but let's see. Roland's a refreshing take on the Young Lord. People expected another Marth Ramzo Denim. That guy could, like us, would crumble before all the war, betrayal, and fighting. So, see, I would hard disagree on that, just simply because, in some cases they would at least try. He just immediately wants to give himself up at every possible opportunity, whether that makes sense or not. Again, if he played the politics a little bit, if he was doing that whole thing of actually caring about his people, he's written, they constantly say he cares about his people, but it actively hurts his people for him to constantly throw himself into the fire like that. If he actually cared, he would use himself as a chip, which funnily enough is Benedict's whole thing and throughout the entire story, where a few times when he does give himself up, Egg's Breakfast shows up suddenly hey, actually, we could just use him as a pawn. That works just fine. Screw this guy anyway. And in those particular situations, then it would make sense. But when he's literally just marching into the room, ready to give up at the earliest opportunity for practically every decision throughout the entire game, he just comes off like a total wuss. He doesn't look like he's trying to actually protect his people at all. He looks like he's just actively got a death wish at every opportunity. At least in my opinion, anyway. So, All right, let's see. So bad. Didn't realize how bad they were. Asvir, are we talking about the review situation? Yeah, for those that missed it, Crimson got like review bombed down to like 31% last I checked, and it's been doing anti-stonks pretty good there. Let's see. Almost every case, he does the exact opposite of what he should be doing. Yeah, that obviously says level 1 right there. Yeah, well, I mean, it's Union level 0. How the actual levels react is different. If there was an option to set it to level 0, I would. Currently, that does not exist. We have Union level 0, and we are playing with minimum battles for this particular run, and I was trying to end up the stream here, and it has not gone terribly successfully because we ended up ranting about stuff for apparently 20 minutes. Good lord. Or sequel in a different world, people, different story. Personally, I think, or hold on, let's see. I think if Roland's brother was still alive, would have panned out more. Triangle 2, do you prefer a prequel showing what their dad was doing? Old woman, old man Freddy's mom, etc. Let's see. Because I think if they did a prequel, that would give them a lot more already established material to work with, but... Sorry if I keep hitting the mic, by the way. This thing's a little bit loose. I gotta tighten it up. The only question is, like, how much of it would be locked in? Because one of the big annoying criticisms of Triangle as far as replaying it is just the fact that no characters that you can actually recruit can die, which really kind of throws a spanner in the works of a war story where nobody can die. It's like, that's kind of part of the whole thing of the war there, buddy. That's... You worked on Tactics Ogre. You guys are very familiar with it. You tried to copy many aspects of it. So what gives with the story where no one dies? Let's see, we wanted to take their system and use it in an entirely different world. See, personally, I think what they should do is take that same thing and set it in a more of like a World War I-esque setting. Like, kind of like, I don't know if any of y'all have heard of Fear and Hunger at all, but like Fear and Hunger 1 and then Termina, where the first one was set in a sort of medieval setting, and then the second one took those same mechanics and then applied them to basically, again, like a World War I kind of setting. By the way, if you are squeamish or upset by things or whatever else, I would not recommend looking up Fear and Hunger. It is a, to put it bluntly, extraordinarily fucked up series of games, but kind of the mental horror of the whole thing is literally in the name. It's, if you're bothered by body horror, don't look it up, but mechanically they are fascinating. Being basically like a kind of a dungeon crawler strategy kind of games there, where like people can literally just have their arms blown off, and you just got to live with that world now. Like, your main character now just suddenly doesn't have legs. How are you gonna make it through the game? You know, it is a weird, fascinating game. Anyway, okay, dog says hi. But yeah, and anyways, I really got to wrap it up. I got to get going. I got a hell of a lot of stuff to catch up to now. Let's see, are you playing on Switch or Steam? Which platform do you prefer for TO? Currently on Steam. I personally prefer Steam just because the D-pad inputs for TO hurt a little bit on the Switch. Not to mention my daughter got obsessed with Pokemon and Animal Crossing, and the Switch is now hers. So that's another aspect. So personally, I just prefer it on the Steam Deck. It just feels like the perfect size and shape for everything involved. Plus, you can use things to use this to create a Union level 0 run, and potentially other mods in the future. But yeah, and exactly, Joshua, massive trigger warning for Fear and Hunger. Well, what game was out with the severed members? Fear and Hunger, and also Fear and Hunger Termina. Again, if you are offended by like nudity or body horror or any of that, they are like, they're extremely well regarded by their niche communities, but like, just the fact that they come with a censorship mod immediately should definitely clue you in. Like, stuff that would normally get stuff well beyond a like banned beyond mature rating kind of stuff can happen in those things. Again, the whole premise, like the design premise of those games was basically a guy that was doing some kind of, it was like some game design morality kind of thing, where they were like, what if people actually did the kinds of things that they normally would do, be, terrible human beings in this actual like fantasy medieval setting? And yeah, to say it gets dark is an understatement. Anyway, it's absolutely fascinating to research, though. So if you can get past the squeamishness stuff, it is really interesting. Anyway, all right. Attempt like 20 to end this thing. I gotta get going. It's like Mortal Kombat. Nobody gets death nookied in Mortal Kombat. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah. Anyway, so that's gonna be about there. We're gonna leave it on a really messed up note there. I gotta get going though. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Thank you for stopping by, and see you.